It was a quiet evening at the Grand Hotel, one of those places that glimmered with gold chandeliers and polished marble floors, where the air always smelled faintly of expensive perfumes and fresh flowers. People dressed in their best clothes walked past, chatting softly, laughing in hushed tones. Everything seemed perfect, as if the world outside the hotel did not exist. In the middle of all this elegance, a tall man in a flowing white robe entered. He moved with confidence and a presence that made heads turn. Everyone knew he was someone important, though few dared approach him. He approached the reception, where a polite attendant greeted him warmly. The man smiled politely and handed over a card to pay for his meal at the hotel's finest restaurant. It was a simple moment, but no one expected what would happen next. The card was declined. Just like that, the elegant transaction that should have been simple turned into a tense situation. The attendant's smile faltered slightly, and the man's eyes narrowed. He handed the card again, but the result was the same. A wave of confusion spread across the room. Guests began whispering, curious and concerned about what had happened. People leaned over their tables to get a glimpse of the commotion. The atmosphere that had been calm and serene suddenly felt charged with tension. In the corner of the hotel lobby, a young woman was finishing her duties. She was the daughter of a maid who had worked at the hotel for many years. Unlike most guests, she had grown up in the rhythm of the place, knowing the hidden corners, the quiet hallways, and the stories behind every polished surface. She had a gentle presence, quiet but attentive, and an ability to notice things others missed. Today, she was wearing her simple uniform, the fabric neat but modest. She was finishing cleaning a table near the entrance when she noticed the growing unease around the reception desk. Curiosity pulled her closer. She watched as the man, the billionaire, became increasingly frustrated, a frown forming on his usually calm face. The staff tried to handle the situation politely, explaining that the transaction had failed. It wasn't a large sum of money, yet the moment seemed surreal because it involved someone so wealthy. Guests murmured among themselves, some speculating, some clearly entertained by the unusual scene. The young woman could see the man's discomfort, but she also saw something else, an opportunity. Not for herself in a material sense, but to help. The young woman had grown up watching her mother serve people from different walks of life. She had learned kindness and patience, and she had learned to act quickly when needed. She stepped a little closer to the desk, trying to think calmly about what she could do. She didn't want to interfere inappropriately, yet she wanted to make a difference. There was something in the man's eyes, a mix of surprise, pride, and frustration, that made her heart beat faster. She knew she had to be careful, but she also felt that if she did nothing, the situation would only grow worse. The staff were politely apologetic, offering various solutions that the man waved away. The young woman remembered the advice her mother had often given. Sometimes, the smallest gesture of help can make the biggest difference. She took a deep breath and approached the man carefully, keeping her voice calm and respectful. She suggested a few alternatives for the payment, including using a different card or handling it through the hotel's management. Her suggestions were simple, but delivered with a quiet confidence that made the staff stop and listen. The billionaire looked at her, surprised that someone so young and seemingly insignificant could speak with such assurance. There was a brief pause. The room seemed to hold its breath. Everyone was watching, intrigued by the interaction. Guests stopped chatting and turned their attention to the unfolding scene. The young woman, sensing the attention, maintained her composure. She spoke with a natural ease, explaining a simple plan that could resolve the situation without causing embarrassment for the man. Her words were clear and practical, and her calm demeanor had a calming effect on everyone around. Even the billionaire's frown softened slightly. A few of the staff whispered to each other, amazed at her presence of mind. The hotel manager, who had been observing from a distance, nodded subtly in her direction, impressed by her initiative. The young woman didn't seek recognition. She only wanted to help, to turn an awkward situation into a manageable one. The billionaire, who had initially seemed frustrated and impatient, now studied her with a hint of admiration. He was not used to being challenged or assisted in this way by someone he considered far below his social status. Yet, here she was, calmly suggesting solutions, showing intelligence and poise. The tension in the room began to ease, replaced by curiosity and respect. Guests whispered quietly to each other, remarking on the young woman's courage. Some even smiled, feeling touched by the simplicity and effectiveness of her approach. She had transformed what could have been an embarrassing moment into a demonstration of humility, cleverness, and grace. The young woman's heart raced, but she maintained her composure, knowing that the smallest misstep could undo everything. She focused on the problem, not the attention, and kept speaking calmly, offering reassurance to both the staff and the billionaire. Finally, after a few moments of careful negotiation and explanation, a solution was found. The billionaire nodded, acknowledging her help with a polite smile. The staff quickly implemented her suggestion, and the transaction was successfully completed. Relief spread across the room. Guests clapped softly, some standing to admire the young woman's quick thinking. The billionaire, who had entered the room with confidence and left it with a mixture of relief and surprise, now regarded her differently. There was a spark of recognition in his eyes, a realization that her character and courage were far more valuable than wealth or status. The young woman stepped back, quietly returning to her duties, her heart still pounding with excitement and nervousness. She didn't say much. She didn't need to. Her actions had spoken louder than words. The staff and guests had witnessed a small act of bravery and kindness, one that had turned an uncomfortable situation into a memorable story. The billionaire, meanwhile, could not stop thinking about the young woman who had handled the situation with such grace. In a world where he was used to people bowing to his wealth and status, her humility, intelligence, and courage stood out like a beacon. As the evening continued, the hotel slowly returned to its usual calm. The chandeliers glimmered, and the scent of flowers floated through the air. Guests resumed their conversations, some quietly reflecting on what had happened. The young woman went about her tasks, a subtle smile on her face, knowing she had done the right thing. Little did anyone know that this small, seemingly simple act would have consequences that would change her life forever. She had shown that even in a world filled with wealth, power, and status, a single act of kindness and bravery could leave an unforgettable mark. The evening continued with a soft hum of conversations and clinking glasses. Even though the immediate problem with the payment had been resolved, there was still a feeling of curiosity lingering in the air. The billionaire Sheikh, who had been somewhat stern and focused earlier, now found himself glancing toward the young woman more than once. She was quietly going about her duties, her movements calm and deliberate, cleaning tables and arranging chairs with a grace that drew no attention to itself. Yet, there was something about the way she carried herself, so composed and confident, that made people notice. The sheikh, accustomed to people being impressed by his wealth, was now noticing a different kind of value: intelligence, courage, and composure. He watched as she calmly suggested the solution that had fixed the awkward payment issue, and a thought crossed his mind. People rarely showed such honesty and initiative without expecting something in return. He felt a strange sense of curiosity about her, an interest he couldn't quite explain. Meanwhile, the young woman continued her work without drawing attention to herself. She was aware that some people were watching, but she focused on her duties, ensuring everything remained perfect in the hotel. Her mother had taught her to always stay grounded, no matter the situation, and she followed that advice naturally. Yet, she could sense the unusual attention and wondered what had sparked it. She had only acted on instinct, wanting to help someone in need, not to receive praise or recognition. And now, unexpectedly, her small gesture had captured the attention of one of the wealthiest people in the room. As the night went on, the hotel manager approached the young woman. He had been observing her actions and felt impressed by her initiative. "You handled that situation very well," he said softly. She looked up at him, slightly surprised by the praise, and thanked him politely. The manager nodded, his eyes showing a mix of admiration and respect. "Not everyone could have done what you did," he continued. "It takes courage and quick thinking. You should be proud of yourself." The young woman smiled quietly, her heart warming from the kind words. She had grown up in a modest environment, learning from her mother the importance of integrity, kindness, and patience. Praise was not something she sought, but hearing it from someone she respected gave her a quiet satisfaction. Little did she know that this small recognition was only the beginning of something much larger. Back at the table where the sheik had been seated, he finished his meal, occasionally stealing glances at the young woman. He wanted to speak with her but wasn't sure how to approach someone from a different social status without causing discomfort. He had always been careful, knowing that his wealth and presence could intimidate people. Yet, he felt drawn to her, not in a personal way, but in admiration for her bravery and intelligence. She had handled a difficult situation with a level of maturity and calmness that surprised him. After finishing his meal, the sheik requested to see the hotel manager. He quietly asked about the young woman who had helped resolve the earlier issue. The manager explained her role, her background, and her admirable qualities. The sheik listened attentively, nodding with interest. He realized that in all his years of traveling and interacting with countless people, he had rarely seen such poise, honesty, and courage combined in a single person, especially someone so young and humble. The next day, the young woman arrived at the hotel for her usual duties. She didn't expect anything unusual. She only intended to do her work and continue helping her mother manage their modest household. But as soon as she entered the lobby, she noticed the sheik waiting. He stood near the entrance, his expression calm but expectant. The young woman felt a mixture of nervousness and curiosity. She had never been approached by someone so powerful in such a direct way. The sheik greeted her politely, introducing himself again, and thanked her for her help the previous evening. His voice was warm and genuine, and it carried a weight of sincerity that made her feel respected rather than intimidated. She smiled politely, expressing that she had only done what she thought was right. He nodded, appreciating her humility. He asked if they could speak privately in a quiet corner of the lobby. She agreed, curious about what he wanted to discuss. As they sat down, he asked about her life, her aspirations, and her experiences growing up in the hotel environment. She spoke candidly, sharing the challenges she faced and the lessons her mother had taught her about kindness, integrity, and perseverance. She spoke not to impress, but simply to answer his questions truthfully. The sheik listened carefully, genuinely interested in her story. He was impressed by her intelligence and the way she expressed herself. Her words revealed a depth of understanding and maturity beyond her years. She had grown up observing people, learning from their actions, and handling situations with thoughtfulness and care. He admired her ability to remain calm under pressure, her courage to step forward, and her compassion for others. During their conversation, the sheik shared some of his experiences, speaking about his travels, work, and the lessons he had learned along the way. He noticed how attentive she was, how she listened with genuine interest, and how her responses reflected thoughtfulness rather than superficial politeness. There was a connection, not based on wealth or status, but on mutual respect and understanding. He realized that her character was rare, and he felt compelled to support and encourage her in any way he could. As the conversation ended, the sheik expressed his admiration for her qualities and offered a small opportunity to help her achieve her dreams. He spoke of possibilities that could transform her future, from education to mentorship, and assured her that her efforts and bravery had not gone unnoticed. The young woman was stunned, her heart swelling with gratitude and disbelief. She had never imagined that a simple act of helping someone in need could lead to such recognition and opportunity. By evening, word of the young woman's bravery and quick thinking began spreading quietly among the hotel staff and a few attentive guests. People admired her not only for what she had done but for the way she had handled herself with grace and humility. The sheik's gesture had not only acknowledged her efforts but also highlighted the importance of character over wealth, leaving a lasting impression on everyone who witnessed or heard about the events. As the night fell, the hotel seemed calmer, but there was an invisible thread of excitement woven into the air. The young woman reflected on the day, feeling a mixture of gratitude, hope, and determination. She understood that life could present unexpected challenges, but how one responded to them could create opportunities beyond imagination. Her small act of courage had opened a door to a future she had only dreamed of, and she knew that with continued effort, honesty, and compassion, she could step into a life filled with possibilities she had never imagined before. The morning sunlight streamed softly through the tall windows of the hotel, casting long shadows across the polished floors. The lobby buzzed quietly with the rhythm of routine, with guests checking out and staff moving gracefully from one task to another. The young woman arrived for her shift, her uniform neat and her expression calm, carrying the quiet confidence that had begun to grow within her after the events of the previous evening. Yet, even as she prepared for her duties, she couldn't shake the memory of the billionaire Sheikh's interest in her. It was a strange feeling, both flattering and slightly intimidating. The Sheikh, however, was not someone to let a remarkable opportunity pass. He had been thinking about her all night, reflecting on her intelligence, courage, and integrity. In his world, surrounded by wealth and privilege, such qualities were rare, and he felt compelled to act. He arrived at the hotel early, unnoticed by most, observing quietly from a corner as the young woman carried out her tasks with careful attention and poise. He watched how she interacted with guests, the gentle way she guided them when needed, and the humility with which she handled her responsibilities. Every movement spoke of someone who had grown up in a life where hard work and respect for others were values learned and practiced daily. The Sheikh decided it was time to take a step that few would have expected. He approached her quietly, making sure not to startle her, and greeted her with warmth and respect. The young woman looked up, surprised but composed, acknowledging his presence politely. He asked if she could spare a few minutes to speak privately. She nodded, curious yet calm, and followed him to a quiet corner of the lobby where they could talk without interruption. He began by expressing his gratitude once again for her actions the previous evening. He spoke about how impressed he was with the way she had handled a situation that could have been embarrassing or stressful. Her response was humble, almost shy, as she said she had only done what she thought was right. He listened attentively, appreciating her honesty and the natural way she carried herself. It was clear to him that her courage and wisdom came from a life of observation and learning, not from any desire for recognition or reward. The conversation slowly turned to her aspirations and dreams. The young woman spoke candidly about her life, her struggles, and her hopes for the future. She described the lessons her mother had taught her about perseverance, kindness, and integrity, and how those lessons had shaped the way she approached every situation. She didn't embellish her story. She simply spoke the truth, allowing her character to shine through naturally. The Sheikh, who had spent his life surrounded by people who often said what they thought he wanted to hear, was struck by her authenticity. He asked thoughtful questions not out of curiosity alone, but because he genuinely wanted to understand her perspective. Her answers reflected a maturity beyond her years, a sense of clarity about what mattered most in life. She spoke about her desire to continue learning, to support her family, and to make a positive impact on those around her. Her words were simple, yet they carried depth and conviction. The Sheikh felt a rare sense of connection, a recognition of shared values that transcended wealth or social status. After some time, he revealed a small but significant plan. He wanted to offer her an opportunity that could change her life. A chance for education, mentorship, or a role that would allow her to grow beyond the limitations of her current circumstances. The young woman was initially stunned. She had not expected anything of this nature, and the idea of such support from someone of his stature felt almost unreal. Her heart raced, a mix of excitement, gratitude, and disbelief filling her chest. She listened intently as he explained the possibilities, each one carefully chosen to respect her dignity and potential. There was no obligation, no hidden agenda, only an offer to help her pursue her dreams with guidance and resources that could make a real difference. She was deeply moved, realizing that her actions, though small in her eyes, had been recognized and valued by someone who could offer her a chance at a brighter future. As they spoke, the Sheikh also shared stories from his own life, illustrating the challenges he had faced and the lessons he had learned. He spoke about the importance of integrity, the value of hard work, and the power of small acts of courage. The young woman listened with rapt attention, absorbing the wisdom in his words while reflecting on her own experiences. There was a sense of mutual respect developing between them, one built not on status or wealth, but on character and the ability to act with honesty and courage. By the end of their conversation, the young woman felt a renewed sense of purpose. She thanked him sincerely, expressing her desire to continue growing, learning, and giving back to those around her. The sheikh smiled, pleased not only with her response, but with the realization that he had encountered someone truly remarkable. He left her with encouragement, reminding her that the qualities she had displayed, courage, humility, and kindness, were more valuable than any wealth or status he could offer. The young woman returned to her duties with a quiet glow of hope and determination. Her colleagues noticed a subtle change in her demeanor, a confidence that radiated from within rather than from outward display. Guests who interacted with her felt the same warmth and composure that had impressed the sheikh. The hotel, which had always been a place of routine and elegance, now held the story of a young woman whose character had turned a challenging situation into a life-changing opportunity. Throughout the day, she reflected on the events of the morning, realizing that her small act of courage had opened doors she had never imagined. She understood that life could present unexpected challenges and opportunities, and that how she responded could shape her future in profound ways. Her humility remained, but it was now accompanied by a quiet confidence and awareness of her own worth. Guests and staff began noticing her in a new light, respecting not just her work but the grace and intelligence she displayed in every action. The sheikh's gesture, though subtle, had ripple effects, inspiring those who witnessed her story to recognize the power of integrity and courage. The young woman's life was on a path that had been altered by a simple, honest act and by the recognition of her true character. As the evening approached, the hotel seemed to carry a sense of calm yet filled with unspoken excitement. There was an awareness, especially among the staff, that something significant had begun, a story that would continue to unfold. The young woman carried her head high, her mind full of hope and her heart full of gratitude. She knew that the future held possibilities beyond what she had ever dreamed, and she felt prepared to embrace them with courage, honesty, and kindness. The day ended with the young woman reflecting quietly in a corner of the hotel, thinking about how small actions could lead to extraordinary outcomes. She understood that life was a series of moments, each offering the potential to create change. Her bravery, humility, and determination had been noticed by someone who could help her reach her dreams, and she felt inspired to continue walking the path of integrity and courage, knowing that every small step could lead to something remarkable. The following morning, the hotel was alive with its usual rhythm. Staff moved efficiently, guests checked in and out, and the soft murmur of conversations filled the grand lobby. Yet, there was a subtle shift in the air, a sense of quiet anticipation that seemed to linger around one corner of the hotel. The young woman arrived for her duties as she did every day, her uniform neat and her expression calm. But today, there was a gentle glow of excitement in her eyes, a feeling that yesterday's events had already begun to change her life in ways she hadn't yet fully realized. The billionaire Sheikh, meanwhile, had not been able to stop thinking about her. Her honesty, courage, and intelligence had left a lasting impression on him. He had made several arrangements discreetly, intending to provide her with a rare opportunity, one that could open doors she had never imagined. He arrived at the hotel quietly, observing from a distance as she moved gracefully between her tasks, interacting with guests and staff with a calm, steady presence. It was clear to him that her character was exceptional, and he was determined to offer her a chance to grow and shine even further. He approached her with a warm smile, greeted her politely, and asked if she could join him for a brief meeting in a private area of the hotel. She nodded, curiosity and calm confidence guiding her steps as she followed him. They found a quiet, elegant corner where they could speak without interruption. The sheikh began by acknowledging her past efforts once again, praising the courage and composure she had shown in a situation that could have embarrassed or overwhelmed someone else. Her response was modest, a gentle smile and a quiet thankfulness, as she explained that she had only done what she thought was right. The Sheikh's expression softened as he spoke about the importance of character and integrity, qualities that could not be bought or learned from wealth alone. He explained that he wanted to help her pursue her aspirations in a meaningful way, offering guidance, resources, and opportunities that could transform her life. The young woman listened with rapt attention, her heart beating faster as the reality of his words sank in. This was a chance unlike anything she had ever imagined, and it was being offered to her purely based on the person she was, not on her social standing or family background. As he spoke, he asked about her dreams and ambitions. She shared openly, speaking of her desire to continue learning, to support her family, and to make a difference in the lives of others. Her words were simple, honest, and full of sincerity. The Sheikh was struck by the depth of her understanding and her ability to articulate her goals with clarity and humility. He realized that she possessed a rare combination of intelligence, empathy, and determination, qualities that could lead her far in life if nurtured properly. He proposed several ways in which he could assist her, from educational opportunities to mentorship and training that would equip her with skills to achieve her dreams. He emphasized that this was not charity, but recognition of her potential and her actions, and a chance to invest in someone who had demonstrated remarkable character. The young woman's eyes widened in disbelief and gratitude. She had never expected that her small act of courage could lead to such a life-changing moment. During their conversation, the Sheikh shared lessons from his own life, stories of challenges he had faced, and the importance of resilience, wisdom, and compassion. He spoke about how small, honest actions often led to unexpected opportunities, and how true wealth lay not in money, but in character and the ability to make a positive impact on the world. The young woman listened intently, absorbing the wisdom and inspiration in his words, while reflecting on her own experiences and values. She felt a profound sense of hope and determination building within her. For the first time, she realized that her actions, even the ones she thought were insignificant, could have a powerful effect on her future. She thanked the Sheikh sincerely, expressing her commitment to continue working hard, learning, and living with integrity and kindness. The Sheikh smiled, pleased with her response, recognizing that she had the mindset and values necessary to truly make the most of the opportunities being offered to her. The interaction left a lasting impression on both of them. The young woman returned to her duties with a newfound sense of purpose, her confidence quietly radiating through her actions. Guests and staff began noticing a subtle change in her demeanor, a calm assurance that seemed to inspire those around her. She continued to perform her tasks with diligence and grace, but now with a sense of hope and anticipation for what lay ahead. The Sheikh, for his part, left the hotel feeling satisfied that he had made a positive impact on someone truly deserving. He had seen countless individuals in his life, yet few had exhibited the combination of humility, courage, and intelligence that she displayed. He knew that by supporting her, he was investing not just in her future, but in the potential for someone to make a meaningful difference in the lives of others. As the day progressed, whispers began spreading among the hotel staff about the young woman's remarkable qualities and the unusual attention she had received from the billionaire. They admired her courage and the quiet strength with which she handled herself, inspired by her story of integrity and bravery. Guests who noticed the interaction were also touched, seeing in her actions a reminder that true value often lies in character, not status. By evening, the hotel was calm once more, yet there was an undercurrent of excitement, a sense that something extraordinary was unfolding. The young woman paused briefly, looking around at the familiar surroundings, feeling a mixture of gratitude, anticipation, and determination. She knew that life had presented her with a rare opportunity, and she was ready to embrace it fully, guided by the lessons of her upbringing and the encouragement she had received. She reflected on how courage, honesty, and a willingness to step forward in challenging moments could create opportunities that seemed impossible at first. She understood that while wealth and status could open doors, it was character and action that truly determined the path of a person's life. The events of the past days had already begun to shift her perspective, giving her hope and motivation to continue striving for her dreams. As the night settled, she quietly continued her duties, carrying with her the knowledge that her actions mattered and that her future was no longer limited by circumstance. The story of her courage and the recognition she received would remain with her, a guiding force as she navigated the opportunities and challenges ahead. She felt ready to take each step with confidence, integrity, and the quiet strength that had always been a part of who she was, now illuminated by the chance to truly shine. The following morning brought a fresh wave of energy to the hotel. Sunlight streamed through the grand windows, reflecting off the polished floors and golden chandeliers. The lobby was alive with movement, staff moving gracefully from task to task, and guests walking past with hushed conversations. The young woman arrived for her duties, her posture calm but her heart filled with anticipation. She had learned that life often brought unexpected moments, and she felt ready to embrace whatever opportunities might come her way. The billionaire Sheikh had been thinking about her since their last meeting. Her intelligence, courage, and honesty had left a deep impression on him. He had made careful plans to help her in a way that would provide lasting benefits. Today, he arrived at the hotel, unnoticed by most, observing as she carried out her tasks with diligence and grace. She moved naturally, not seeking attention, yet her presence drew quiet admiration from those around her. He approached her with a gentle smile and invited her to a private corner of the lobby. She followed, curious but composed. The Sheikh began by commending her once more for her actions and her remarkable character. She responded humbly, explaining that she had only done what she felt was right. Her words, simple yet sincere, reflected the values her mother had instilled in her: integrity, kindness, and a willingness to act courageously even when it was not expected. The Sheikh then revealed a life-changing opportunity. He wanted to support her education and provide mentorship that would equip her with the skills and knowledge to achieve her dreams. He emphasized that this was not charity but recognition of her qualities and the potential he saw in her. The young woman's eyes widened in disbelief and gratitude. She had never imagined that a small act of courage could lead to such a profound change in her life. She listened as the Sheikh described the opportunities: access to education, guidance in her chosen field, and the chance to grow beyond the limitations of her current circumstances. Each word he spoke carried a weight of sincerity, and she felt a sense of hope and excitement building within her. This was a moment that could transform her life, and she felt ready to embrace it fully. As they spoke, she shared her dreams and aspirations openly. She spoke of her desire to continue learning, to support her family, and to make a positive impact on the lives of others. Her words were honest and heartfelt, reflecting a maturity beyond her years. The Sheikh was struck by her clarity, determination, and humility. He realized that she possessed qualities that money could never buy: courage, wisdom, and an unwavering sense of integrity. He encouraged her to pursue her goals with confidence, assuring her that he would support her journey in any way he could. He spoke about the importance of small, honest actions and how they often led to opportunities that seemed impossible at first. His words were inspiring, filling her with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. She understood that this was more than just an opportunity. It was a chance to transform her life through hard work, integrity, and courage. The young woman felt a profound sense of gratitude. She thanked the Sheikh sincerely, promising to make the most of the chance he was offering. Her humility and sincerity impressed him even further, and he left her with words of encouragement, reminding her that true wealth was not measured by money, but by character, wisdom, and the positive impact one could have on others. As she returned to her duties, there was a noticeable change in her demeanor. She moved with quiet confidence, her actions reflecting the inner strength that had been recognized by someone she admired. Staff and guests began to notice, seeing not only her diligence but the grace, intelligence, and integrity she displayed in every interaction. The hotel, always a place of routine and elegance, now carried the story of a young woman whose courage and honesty had opened the door to a brighter future. Throughout the day, she reflected on the events that had led her here. She understood that life often presented unexpected challenges and opportunities, and it was how one responded to them that determined the course of their future. Her small act of bravery had not only solved a difficult situation but had revealed her true character to someone who could help her achieve her dreams. Guests and staff whispered quietly about the young woman's remarkable qualities. They admired her courage, humility, and the way she had handled herself with grace in a challenging situation. Her story became an inspiration, a reminder that true value lies not in wealth or status, but in character, courage, and integrity. As the evening approached, the hotel remained calm, yet the young woman carried with her a sense of excitement and anticipation for the future. She knew that the opportunities now open to her were a result of her honesty, courage, and willingness to act when it mattered most. She felt prepared to embrace each new challenge, guided by the values her mother had taught her and the encouragement she had received from the Sheikh. The night settled softly over the hotel, the chandeliers casting a warm glow over the polished floors. The young woman paused for a moment, reflecting on her journey. She realized that life could be unpredictable, but small acts of bravery and integrity could create extraordinary outcomes. Her heart was filled with gratitude, hope, and determination. She knew that her life had changed, not because of wealth or status, but because of her character, courage, and the choices she had made. From that day forward, she approached each moment with confidence, humility, and a renewed sense of purpose. She understood that every challenge was an opportunity to demonstrate her values, and every small act could lead to remarkable results. The Sheikh's recognition had opened doors, but it was her own courage and integrity that would guide her through the future. She felt ready to embrace every possibility, knowing that her life had been transformed by honesty, bravery, and the simple act of doing what was right. Her story became known quietly among those who had witnessed it, inspiring others to act with courage and integrity. She continued her duties at the hotel, her presence now marked by a quiet confidence and the knowledge that her actions mattered. Each day, she carried with her the lessons learned, the encouragement received, and the hope for a future shaped by her own character and determination. As the weeks passed, the young woman began to pursue the opportunities offered to her. She engaged in learning, mentorship, and experiences that broadened her horizons. Every step she took was guided by the values she had always held: honesty, courage, and kindness. The Sheikh continued to support her, offering guidance and encouragement, but it was her own dedication, determination, and character that propelled her forward. In the end, the young woman's life had been transformed not by luck or wealth, but by her own actions, her integrity, and the recognition of her true potential. She became an example to those around her, showing that courage, humility, and honesty could open doors and create opportunities beyond imagination. The hotel remained a place of elegance and routine, but it also held the story of a young woman whose bravery and character had changed her life forever.